They say offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And that is the mantra that head coach Don Thornton and the Lady Bulldogs have been able to encapsulate during this amazing run of not one, not two, not three, not four. Oh!
Let me help him out. The Lady Bulldogs are on a 10-game winning streak and ranked number 37th in scoring defense. We also catch up with Coach Dante Jackson to talk about the men's on-the-road games in Louisiana and more here on the Alabama A&M Basketball Review.
Welcome to the Alabama A&M Basketball Review. Highlights, exclusive team interviews, and analysis with men's head coach Dante Jackson and women's head coach Don Thornton. We're breaking down the games, reliving the big moments, and getting you geared up for the next big battle. And now, join us on our journey with our host, Chauncey Sanders.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Alabama A&M Basketball Review. I'm Chauncey Sanders. Alongside me, of course, is none other than head coach Don Thornton. And we're joined today by a great player here for Alabama A&M's women program, a guard hailing from Las Vegas. Why are you two laughing? Why are y'all laughing? Y'all throwing me off. We're going to continue it anyways because why not?
That's her
I already love
personality.
that. This is her personality. This is the energy. She just always is smiling. Like, you know, we've already had our experience previously. I could say now a special guest and co-host on the On the Hill live basketball show as well. You can catch that pregame show live here on Swag TV as well, just to put that plug out there. And Zaria Glover, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me today.
Of course, and we're so excited to have you on and talk about this incredible run you guys are on, right? You ladies are on a 10-game winning streak. It's arguably one of the better win streaks in all of the country right now as we look at it today. Also sitting atop alone in the conference, 10-1 on the season in the SWAC standings right now, sitting at number 1. You're coming off of a huge showdown in Southern, in Grambling as well. How are you all feeling coming out of this road?
I thought that this weekend was going to be a testament to really and truly how we wanted to set the tone for the month of February. Playing a team like Grambling, who is a defensive-minded, very scrappy team. I knew that was going to be a challenge, and Grambling won the game last year that cost us a regular season championship. After we went to Southern and we beat Southern there. And then playing Southern this year, it was a three-way tie for a very long time between us, Southern, and Alcorn. And so I knew that we knew that Southern was going to play their best game versus us. There was no doubt in my mind about that. So it may have been a nail biter for a lot of you all, a lot of fans that may have been watching. But for us, we knew what the expectations was going to be like. We knew what the atmosphere was going to feel like.
I love that you talked about that being a nail biter and something that fans at home may be worried about. But
I saw the comments.
You saw the comments. she keeps
And heard the little podcast or whatever.
We heard.
Right? So I want to talk about that because this is different from your typical wins in a win streak, right? You've blown teams out, you've had some close at home, but now you're tested on the road to pull out these nail biters. What do you think it does for the team moving forward as we get closer to March?
Well, you have to see, you're going to see adversity. Teams peak at the right time. So, those blowouts that we had early on in conference, I don't suspect that would be the case, as we go through the cycle for the second time, because, a lot of teams do peak at the right time. So I think, a lot of teams are still trying to find their identities. I think some of them have found it. And then playing a team twice, that's very difficult too. So we're excited about it. And I think that for us, the biggest challenge for my staff and I is to make sure that practice stays very competitive and making sure that we're not relaxing in practice. And I think that that's one thing that we have really been adamant about, making it challenging every single day.
Definitely. And Zaria, as a player, how do you keep your minds forward and not think too much about what's going on the outside and the win streak and where teams are ranked and where the team is ranked and things of that outside noise that people kind of factor into the game?
I seen someone say from Iowa that you don't want to play your best basketball in January. So like Coach said, you peak at the right time. What matters the most is when you win during crunch time. So like she said, playing teams that everybody thinks that, they may be ranked or have the number at 80% to win the game, and we may be the other 20. Numbers like that don't really matter to us. So like we seen it, and in our group chat, we're like, okay, so now we have something to prove and show these people that we're actually gonna come out with this win. So coming out with the win, of course, it feels really good. Like just because you won, but it also feels really good to show people that you thought wrong, and we're gonna continue to do so.
And for the both of you, how do you stay motivated throughout this win streak and continue to just have that same amount of hunger that you did at win one starting out in the streak and going into the next game?
I could honestly say that it's tunnel vision right now. We talked about when we came back from the Christmas break, I asked them what's the goal, and the goal is to win a championship. And one thing for me as a head coach, although I've won 4 conference championships in this conference, I've never won a regular season. So just making sure that I can kind of keep my foot on their neck per se has been a real thing. But we see it, we've smelt it, we had a taste of what success looks like. And this team wants to leave a legacy here for Alabama and women's basketball. There hasn't been any history that has really been written since they've been D1. And so we have the pieces to do it, and I think everybody's just kind of locked into that right now.
Love that. Everyone is locked in. And speaking of which, you all were locked in on the road. Let's get into that in the 54-50 win first against Grambling on Thursday. What was your mindset into that ball game? You're shaking your head because I know you want to get into overall what you thought about the game. That already lets me know. But just what was your mindset leading into that matchup?
We expected to be pressed for 40 minutes. We turned the ball over, I think, too many times. But we do a really good job of defending. So I get it as a fan. Fans like, and people like, yeah, what we should work on or whatever, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, we're gonna hang our hat on defense. So if it comes down to the last stretch, if it comes down to the last 20 seconds, and we up 2, and we got to get a stop to win the game, we will get the stop to win the game. I mean, we just understand, and I say that very humbly speaking. But I know that we talk about that in defending actions for a very long period of time every day in practice. So that's just something that we just hang our head on.
Definitely. Zaria?
I think that it's important to know that just because you only win by 4 or only win by 2, that you understand that we still came out with the win. A lot of people could say, oh, you should have probably beat them by 10 or 20. But I think it's more exciting when you have close games like that and you really get to see who's the dog and who's going to get the bone for real. Like Coach said, it was 54-50, like that's the kind of basketball that I like to watch. I like to really see like who's gonna get down to the nitty-gritty, who's gonna get the 50-50 balls, who's not gonna foul when there's only 5 seconds left on the shot clock, which we like to call hot. That's the most disciplined times in the basketball game to really see who's gonna win this basketball game.
I love that. And I want to fast forward. You guys led by 3 into the half, 30-27. But then in the fourth quarter, as Daria's preaching there, that those hot moments, you limit Grambling to 3 of 12 from the field there in the fourth quarter. Just what were you preaching there coming into the fourth quarter, and how impressed were the both of you in the fourth quarter there by the Lady Bulldogs defense?
3 of 12, I believe it was only 1 field goal, and the other 2 may have been a free throw. I think that's what it was.
Maybe the stats have it wrong.
So we let them hit 3 shots?
Unfortunately, that's
Look,
what it says. That's what it says. It says 3 of 12.
Okay. Well, but we knew that the pressure for them defensively, they were gonna pick it up, and I thought that that was really good because that's the type of basketball that we're gonna start seeing. A lot of teams want to press. A lot of teams want to speed teams up, or even to slow you down, press you just to slow you down to shorten your shot clock. And so, but we practice and go over these things every day, so we knew what to expect. Worked on it too, but with the emotions of the game, and we turned it over 1 or 2 times, maybe 1 or 2 times too many. But I think that ultimately we were able to make the right read and be in the right place at the right time when it mattered the most.
Definitely. And speaking of people that were there when it mattered the most, your vets, Davenport, Walker, Karaya, making big plays for you all down the stretch. Just a testament to their experience, but also to what you've been able to preach and showing that leadership on the floor. How impressed were you by those 3 in this matchup?
I think that the big 3 will be the big 3. They've been playing together 2-3 years. and so they understand each other's chemistry. I think even AP and Moses, they play very well together also. However, I think the biggest piece that kind of went that's kind of goes unnoticed was Vanessa and Samaya. Samaya gets the biggest stop. Ball went out of bounds. She made that play happen. Vanessa, heating up a point guard, getting a point guard to turn the ball over to try to keep a possession alive. Right? Those it's the intangible. To win those type of games. It's not just the big three. It's the intangibles and knowing that we can make a substitution defensively to get a stop late and trust freshmen to do it, I mean, that's a great place for you as a head coach.
Without question. And we've talked about that, right? We've talked about that several times in the basketball review show. If you want to check out those latest episodes, please, I suggest. But you talked about that depth and how it is able to help you guys. It enables your starters to be fresh when it matters most later into the game because of your bench. But just to turn the page forward here, Southern, another huge showdown. You all are going up against what was perceived as one of the top dogs in the conference, and also a team that had just won the SWAC championship just last year. How difficult, in your opinion, was that going into Baton Rouge to take on the Lady Jags?
We were focused. Our kids were very locked in to the scout and what we needed to do. It's hard playing. It is hard playing at Southern. The atmosphere and the fans. I think they're leading the conference in attendance right now. Come on, Bulldog fans. We need some more fans in the stands. Come on. Uh, but it's a hostile environment, and but we wanted to keep the main thing, and just finding the will to win, and refusing to lose was something that I think even for me as a head coach coaching that game, I was just telling myself, you just have to win the game by one, right? And I could see us winning the game by one because we're gonna always bank on our defense of what we need to do defensively. I could see that.
Definitely. And your defense is holding it down. I mean, the saxophones got really loud there in the fourth quarter. You all turned it up on them like no other. And I want to start there because you outscored them 18-11 in that fourth quarter. Obviously, they had 16. You allowed them to get on the free throw line 8 times. I'm sure you weren't too happy about that. But what was your message in the fourth quarter as the buzzer was sounding to get back out to start the fourth for the team?
Well, 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes. And we're going to play and set the tone these first 3 minutes, really and truly locking into that. We have defensive like goals and things that we're supposed to do. So being able to get multiple stops back to back to give us the momentum to be able to capitalize, to try to go and get some scoring runs was something that we talked about. And then, we just were able to do that. But we also got to the free throw line when it mattered the most and knocked down those free throws too.
Definitely. You knock down those free throws. And speaking of those free throws, Karaya gets clobbered at the end of the quarter, just as the time was nearly expiring and is at the line for two. Just speak about that confidence in her, knowing she's going to the line to give you all the lead and perceivably the win at the end of the game.
Karaya has this mentality, a lot different from Kayla because Kayla can hit a game-winning shot, Mo can hit a game-winning shot, but Karaya is the Kobe. Karaya is the LeBron. Karaya wants the ball in her hand. Give me the ball, right? Give me the ball. And we drew up a play and didn't get the read that we wanted to get, but she made the play. And drew the foul. I mean, she's just great at doing that. She comes from a very in-depth basketball background. So, I mean, Karaya is a very smart player also. So, just loving to see her in her rhythm, finding herself for her last campaign in the SWAC. Yeah, for sure.
Karaya being your Karaya.
Karaya being Karaya.
Can never forget that one, am I right?
Yeah.
17 lead changes in that matchup. Incredible game. It absolutely lived up to everyone's outside watching you all hype, if you will, to that matchup. But now we're turning the page forward. We're back here at home. You already pleaded to the fans. Let's get that attendance number up a little bit. This week, though, Thursday, we start off with none other than UAPB, a tough opponent. We know they've been actually finding their groove their own selves, winning 3 in a row so far, and also defeating Alcorn State, who was sitting second and tied with you all at one point in the first in standings as well. What have you already expect from them? Have you been able to kind of get your eyes on UAPB a little bit?
We have. I think Pine Bluff has done it. Coach Leak has done a phenomenal job, with the program and is doing a good job as far as trending them in the right direction. However, A&M knows that we have to take care of business versus Pine Bluff anytime we play Pine Bluff. That's my former place, right? So we will take care of that as best as we possibly can, and really and truly locking in defensively and not allowing their scores to get in the groove or feel comfortable, while they're on the floor. And then we got Valley, right? And we gotta get a lick back.
You beat me to the punch.
We
I mean,
gotta
my
get a
goodness.
lick. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Saturday.
just jumped
No,
straight
you're
to
right. You're right.
Saturday.
I mean, you're
I'm
right.
not
You
passing
ready to
up
get to
Thursday
Saturday.
now.
I understand everybody has Valentine's Day circled around, and for you all, it might be a little bit different because y'all ain't trying to show no love on Saturday. But that's also a game that you all have circled there because you lost the start of the year to them, and you haven't lost a game since. So it would just make complete circle there to get that lick back on Saturday.
Yes. That's it. Yes, yes, we got to get our lick back. But I think again, as a coach, you don't really. I look myself in the mirror a lot for a lot of things that we do in ways areas of improvement. And so I think we've made those areas of improvement since we played the Valley. So Valley will see a different A&M team when they pull a normal on Saturday.
What do you expect to be the biggest difference from that team that played New Year's Day versus where we are today looking ahead to Saturday?
That's a great question. I think we've gotten a taste of success and what that looks like. And we understand that we have to win 10 games to win a regular season championship. And so we look at Valley as any other opponent. We just got to go and take care of business.
Taking care of business. I hear you on that. Zaria, you came over from Jackson State, of course, but you're from Las Vegas, Nevada. I want to know when you got that call from head coach Don Thornton next to you here, what was it like? And then what has the difference been now coming from Las Vegas to Huntsville in Normal, Alabama?
As an athlete, everyone knows that when you get a call from a head coach, it's it's business. Now you have to make an executive decision for the rest of your success. I was very excited to get the call. It was something that I actually really prayed on. I actually talked to my junior college coach because we're that locked in, and he told me I need you to really hone on to what you're looking for, and take it into consideration that you still need to find another home outside of your home. And when coach called me, I felt it immediately. Just the tone of her voice, the things that she said to me. She was very serious about bringing that comfort back to me and the love that I kind of lost in a sense. And honestly, there's no difference from the phone call. The love is still there, the comfort is still there. I'm still very locked in with everybody that I was locked in with at the beginning of the season. As a woman and as a basketball player, when you start your season, the relationships that you build, unfortunately, they don't always tend to stay the same. But I can definitely say that with my team and my coaches, everything has been the same, if not gotten better. So, the difference is there's no difference. The difference between coming from Las Vegas to Normal, Alabama, there's no more bright lights. The city shuts down at about 7 o'clock for real. And I guess that's the only difference. The food here is the same. I get to go places and eat how I want to eat. But like I said, the love is here. So I don't really, think about the difference from back home.
Coach, although you aren't able to necessarily use Zaria and her presence on the floor, how great has it been to have her just as an extra body off the floor helping your team?
I think that Z has done a really good job of adapting. I think we went through a transition where she was trying to understand me as a coach, understand my expectations for her, what I wanted for her. But another thing too, I think just trying to get her to understand for me as a coach, I have to figure her out in her placement with this team. Everybody is different, right? And so it's just been a great experience having her here. Her presence, just her spirit is wonderful. There are quite a few kids that I've coached in my career that when you can walk in a room, they can make a room brighter. And she's definitely one of them. And so I've enjoyed being able to have her here since she's chosen to be here with me at A&M.
That's awesome, and it's always great to have her as a bright light. I mean, clearly we could see she's a pro at this microphone thing. I've been sitting alongside her once, and maybe I'll talk to Dr. Bryant. We'll see if we can get some more.
We
I
need
mean,
some
why not?
co-hosts.
We need some more co-hosts
Yeah.
on the Hill Live. I mean, wink, wink. But I think Daria, you bring an extra flair to this team, some flavor that honestly probably could have been used last year as well, where it's not just your on the floor presence, where we know you had some great plays and you made some plays for this team, but it's been off the floor where we saw you in timeout breaks and also during halftime and being able to pour into your teammates off the floor that has helped contribute to this 10-win streak here for the Lady Bulldogs. Am I right, Coach?
It definitely. I think, like I tell her all the time, when they're quiet, I have a problem. So I need to always be able to hear them.
I hear you. And you always hear Zaria somewhere, somehow. Tip-off starts Thursday. You can catch the Lady Bulldogs, the hottest ticket in the country, 37th ranked in the nation defensively and scoring defense. They're holding opponents to less than 60 points a game. You can't miss that ticket. It's also Play for K-Day on Thursday. That is February 12th. Tip-off at 6 p.m., of course, against UAPB. You don't want to miss that one. Of course, we will have T-shirts and more offerings going that day as well. And then on Saturday, in case you don't have anyone, or also in case you want to bring a certain guest or a special guest with you, you can join us Saturday in a matinee doubleheader against Mississippi Valley State. That is February 14th. 2 p.m. tip-off. Of course, you can find both games in case you can't make it here on SWAC TV. When we come back, the men will join us as they talk about splitting the road trip in Louisiana. And of course, we got your highlights coming up next here on the Alabama A&M Basketball Review.
Dozier fakes. Guarded by immediately. Step back. Good.
For Alabama A&M. 8-0 run, and Wembley steals the ball. Wembley's going to throw it to Palmer, and Palmer is going to give Alabama A&M the lead, and that is a 10-0 run. By the Jaguars, Dixon. Here's Walker with a shot. Got it. And Walker ties the ball game up at 52. And stolen. Walker steals it. Back to Walker. Wide open as Palmer lays it up in. And all of a sudden, a 4-0 run.
The jump goes up. No foul call. Into the hands of Robin. Robin to Graham. Graham. Top. Floor. 10-point advantage for the A&M Bulldogs, and they're not letting up.
It almost knocked out of bounds, Hardy, and Hardy ended up turning it over. Here comes Dozier, twisting and turning, and it scores. Down in the corner is Dozier. Dozier's going to try a three. Got it! Now all of a sudden, everybody's taking threes.
Now, James Graham charges the paint, goes up, and finishes a tough finish. Immediately stolen by Dozier. Dozier on a break. Euros. Reverse. Finishes. Kentavious Dozier on a 5-0 run all by himself.
Over to Sammy. Sammy brings the basketball. No look pass, slam dunk. One-handed slam dunk for Davis.
Back to pieces. Absolute finish. The pass from Eason to James Graham.
We are Alabama A&M University, a world-class institution where future leaders prepare to make their impact on the world. Here, education isn't just about learning, it's about leading, with nationally recognized programs in STEM, agriculture, business, and the arts. We are inspired by our rich heritage and bold future, carrying the spirit of the Hill with excellence. Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
And welcome back to the Alabama A&M basketball review. Of course, we had your highlights, and now we're joined by our 11th men's basketball head coach in Dante Jackson, and also special guest joining us today in associate head coach Kyle Jones. Welcome to the show. Fellas, it was a great trip back home. We split. No, we didn't like that, but however, we bounced back like round ball recently at Grambling State, of course.
Yes, like I always say, you got to leave with something.
Got to leave with something.
Fortunately, we didn't play our best basketball at Southern. We had a chance to regroup on Sunday and after the Saturday game and kind of watch film and, kind of question guys about, where our toughness was. And, it was a tough game against Southern because we were down 3 of our frontline players, but still, offensive rebounding, giving up offensive rebounds is just a tough situation. So found a way to figure it out at Grambling, but, we wanted to go 2-0, but we'll take the 1-1 split.
I hear you're taking the 1-1 split. You're leaving there with something. So I want to start back with Southern. You all fall 81-68 in that matchup. Just the first half, it seemed like things were working pretty well. We were still in the game, competitive there. Just what were your thoughts going into halftime there?
Well, like I told them, we had a super slow start. We got down, I want to say 10-0. Super slow start. We gave up maybe 8 offensive rebounds in the first half, and it was just one of those situations where we kind of digging ourselves a hole. I want to say we closed it to 3 at half. We end up giving up a last 8-9 second shot. Kind of gave them the momentum back. So instead of going into half down 1, we go down 3. And that was kind of a big momentum swing for them. Then they came back out the second half. We started slow again, and they kind of got control of the game, and we kind of had to fight an uphill battle from that point on.
Right, 36-33 was our score at half, as you said. That bucket there at the end kind of shifted the momentum, in your opinion?
Yep, it did because, we had fought all the way back. We were down 10, got down maybe like 12, fight all the way back, cut it to 1. Now, the momentum's on our side, and, maybe you got them going into the half second guess and stuff, but then they go in and get that last basket, and it's like, dang, it's like a breather. Like, all right, okay, we good. And, we didn't want them to be good. We wanted them to kind of still keep feeling us, pushing forward. But unfortunately, they got that bucket, and it is what it is.
And so then we're outscored 45-35 in the second half. Was it just dead legs after coming back so hard, or was it just a bit of an effort thing, as you preached earlier?
Like I told our guys, man, one thing we can't never tell coach is effort and toughness. That got to be innately in you. And, I felt like we were, giving up offensive rebounds. That's a toughness thing. We got beat up and down the court for layups, some transition layups. That's an effort thing. We can't coach that, whether we on the road or wherever the case is. And I felt like we kind of had some hangover from the Bethune game. Kind of got beat, felt bad, still feeling bad. And I'm like, man, it's over. You can't get these games back. It's over. Now you got to move on. So that was just one of the situations. I don't know if it was hangover or whatever the case is. I just know we didn't play our best basketball.
Not your best. However, we were able to bounce back going into Grambling. So you guys have that break there. You're going over film. What were your points of emphasis heading into the Grambling matchup?
Effort, toughness. Effort and toughness. One thing I always tell people, you either can eat or you can get ate. So effort, attitude, toughness.
Effort, attitude, toughness. I like it.
And that was one of the things we had to figure out, if we was going to be the people eating or we was going to be the people getting ate. So we had to figure out, dogs like to eat. So we wanted to go out there and redeem ourselves because we know we didn't play our best basketball on that Saturday.
Without question. And your team was hungry like dogs, and we saw that on the boards and also in their effort in that matchup. But Coach Jones, can you preach a little bit about the effort from your team here with Coach Jackson beside you?
Oh yeah, it was do or die. We had came to a point in the season where we haven't lost 3 games in a row, non-conference or conference, and coach just preached that all Sunday. Hey man, what we gonna do? You play bad on Saturday. What you gonna do tomorrow? And obviously the magnitude of the game coming back home, the Grambling, and what you did there, and the legacy coach left there, and what we did there, and accomplished there over the years, and the guys knew. And I felt like Dozier and Easton wasn't gonna let us lose, and I think it just infiltrated the team.
I like it. I mean, they got to have your backs at the end of the day. And I'm glad you touched on that. When Coach Jackson gave you the call, hey, man, I think I'm thinking about moving on to Huntsville in Normal, if you will, to take this opportunity. First of all, what was your reaction? And then just talk a little bit about your relationship with Coach Jackson over the years.
Oh, it was a no-brainer. It was funny because he asked me, and I said, I think it's time, big bro. And that's why the relationship is how it is. Nothing that Grambling didn't do right or anything that they did wrong. It was just sometimes it's just time. And I got his back. And at the end of the day, that's what it's been. Season 9, and we've accomplished 3 championships in 8 years. So, going on 4 years in 9. And so, and I speak highly of him, and I have his back. And there was nothing that was going to stop or even second guess doing what we did at Grambling here at A&M.
Awesome, man. I love it. And you guys clearly seem like your team had your back in this matchup, right? I mean, 66-58 win, a huge one, keeps you guys afloat and also at one of the top spots in the conference. Just break down what you had as takeaways from that matchup there.
I felt like we got back to, our DNA of defense. I felt like we kind of got out there. We were hungry. We kind of got back to that sweat something model. We really got after them. We played hard. The thing I would say is that we kind of got into playing so hard. We kind of got into some foul trouble early, but we also had some undisciplined fouls. So, we had to do a better job of understanding, when to wall up, when to just make sure your closeout is right. We're not putting 2 hands on somebody. So just the little things, just the small details. But I felt like we got back to our DNA. Like, we're going to guard, we're going to defend at a high level, and then on top of that, we're going to rebound. And like I told our guys, the last part of you can play all the great defense in the world, but if you don't get the rebound, what do it matter? Like, it defeats the point. So, nobody wants to go out there and play defense for 50 seconds or a minute and 10 seconds. You give up 2 rebounds. So it's like you already got a 30-second shot clock. You give up a rebound, it's another 20-second shot clock. You give up another rebound, it's another 20 seconds. You've been playing defense for a minute and 10 seconds, like a minute and 10 seconds. Like, who wants to do that? So at the end of the day, it was just one of them things we had to get back to our DNA, and I felt like it was a culture game. So was what it was.
Definitely a culture game. You all held the Tigers to 24% shooting from the field, 9% from the three-point line at half. Just how big was that? And I felt like that message and tone was set right then and there about this game.
Well, Coach Carey is a great coach. Does an incredible job. They do a good job of shooting the 3 ball, and they do a good job of attacking at the rim. So we wanted to try to figure out what we had to limit, and we had to limit the 3. And we did a good job of switching and, taking the 3 away and contesting at a high spot. Now also those guys missed some shots. At the end of the day, I'm going to give our defense some credit, but unfortunately, players make plays. They missed a couple open looks, and it is what it is. And from there, we rebounded at a high level and kind of pushed the ball. Kind of got stagnant in the second half. We got to kind of keep working on that because that stagnant, is slowing us down because we're getting up. And we're almost getting up too big too early, and it's like we got to be able to kind of maintain those leads.
Definitely, you beat me to the punch there. You led 36-23 at half, but then you jump right out again and continue the momentum early in the second half, blowing the lead open to pretty much 20 points there in the second half. But you spoke about players making plays for you guys. James Graham III, a familiar face around that area, made some huge plays for you all in the second half. Just talk a little bit about his development for both of you all and where you think the possibilities are for him as we get towards the end of the season.
Listen, we've been trying to push him, trying to push all the right buttons with him. James is a good player, man. Plays the game the right way. wants to be good. You know, sometimes it's overly his expectations is overly high. You know, it's like, hey man, you gonna miss shots, man. It's part of life. You know, like LeBron and Steph Curry miss shots, bro. You James Graham, like that personal. Like if they miss shots, you gonna miss some shots. But you know, he's a hard worker, man. He comes in, he works on his game, works on his craft. He wants to be good, and that's the one thing that I love about him. He wants to be good. So you know, I think as he keeps working and keep developing, keep growing, and keep trusting the coaching, it's just sky's the limit for him. Especially being able to come back next year. Just keep working on his game and keep working on his craft.
Definitely, Coach.
Yeah, and the same way like Coach said, I applaud him for taking on the challenge. Myself included. I challenged him every day, to be a tougher guy. And because I see something in him. And in our system and in what we've built, the fourth spot has been the guy that's been a difference maker. And he can be that every night. He can be a guy that can score inside, score outside. And I saw it starting to peak at Prairie View. And I said, if you bring that intensity every game, you're probably one of the better players in the league, if not the best. Because you can do you do a lot at 6'8". And he brought it, and he's been doing it, and he's been buying in practice, and it's translating to the game. And like I said, the future is bright for him. All he has to do is stay the course and just let everything happen for him.
Expectations for the young man. Stay in the course.
And like we tell him, everything starts in practice. Sometimes guys come in, don't understand how hard you got to practice every day, and it's kind of like, man, it ain't a such thing as turn it off and turn it on. Y'all might have been good in high school and you can get away with that, but this is college basketball, man, and there's a lot of grown men out here that's really out here competing at a high level. So you have to come out here and compete at a high level and make sure you maintain a high level. And that's one of the things we've been trying to work with him about. You have to maintain the high level of competition.
Consistency is key.
Yes, it is.
And so, Coach, we mentioned earlier, Coach Jackson, that Coach, what was going on there between you two about just your leadership, your style, your ethics, and what Coach Jones is preaching about you, and why he was able to make this such an easier choice to get here. But what stood out to you about this son of a coach, if you will, son of a coach, coming from a team led by the great George Ivory? Just what stuck out to you about him to want to make him one of your assistants?
It's crazy. So when I first got the job at Grambling, Coach was already there. He was an assistant coach on the staff with Coach Price. I met with Coach Walker and Coach Price prior. And of course, I talked to Coach Walker. Coach Walker was a friend of mine, throughout the business. And then I talked to my cousin, and me and my cousin had a great conversation. And first call I made was to his dad. He probably don't know that, but my cousin, we talked, boom, boom, boom. And he like, hey man, I got to give you Mac, number, boom. So of course I call his dad. His dad is a legendary coach in high school, at Shreveport at Huntington High School. And me and Coach talked, and he was like, man, you don't got to keep my son, blah 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 blah. We just just having regular conversations. And then when I got a chance to meet him, man, hard worker, man. That's the first thing that that made because I'm a hard worker, you know what I mean? And, it's like, he a hard worker, man, very intelligent, diligent on his craft. He's an everyday person. And I was like, man, you want to surround your people by as many people that's like-minded, but also that's different. You know what I mean? Some places where I may not excel at, he excels at, you know what I mean? So it's like you want to have somebody that, you can bounce ideas off of. He'll come in with some different concepts on offense and different things on defense. And I'm like, I ain't think about that. So, you know what, let's try it, So that's what it was, man. Just him as a person, man. Just, his drive, he driven, just watching him, getting his master's degree and working on his doctorate degree and still being a basketball coach, doing a whole lot of different stuff. Yeah. So it's like just a driven person, because at the same time, I was doing the same thing. So it was like, yeah, man, you want to be around people that's like-minded, that got drive, that got hunger and that want more out of life. And, he embodied all of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome, without question. And you all have been together for some time now. I mean, You've seen championships, some highs, some lows there. But I want to know, you guys stand right now 3-3 in conference, 500 against teams that are 500 right now. 3-3. I got you. You're 6-5 in conference right now. But you're 3-3 against teams that are 500 or above. Just where do you think this team is currently right now as we get ready to head towards the back end of the schedule into March?
Listen, I think we kind of right where we need to be. we dropped some games that we shouldn't have dropped. Like, you know, I mean, just to be totally honest, we up 15 against Texas Southern, dropped that game. Up 9 or 11 against Alcorn, dropped that game. You know, our problem has been just trying to close out games. You know, we've been playing well for 30, 40, 30, 35 minutes, 32 minutes, 28 minutes. We got to figure out just how we play well for 40, and that's one of the things we've just been stressing. How do we play well for 40? And, you know, want our guys to understand that shot selection got to be better, understand that we got to do a better job of taking care of the ball, got to understand, like, that shot at that moment may not be a good shot when it's like shot value. So, like, that shot early in the game, great. Not that shot late in the game. So it's just like some of those things that we're trying to just get them to understand. And then, you know, just I think the buy-in, I know the buy-in is there because we're defending. The main thing of it is that we just got to keep being hungry.
Coach?
Yeah, same, Chauncey. I think that right now we're sitting in a good spot. All those teams that are 500 and above, they're good teams. And sometimes we play a few of those games without our full team. And so now on the back end of it, I think that we're going into it. I'm very confident, and I think the players had a meeting on Sunday, and that players-led meeting. And I think we're in a really good spot. I think that, you know, the buy-in is there, like Coach said, and at the end of the day, the sky's the limit for this team.
Sky is absolutely the limit. I love where we're at right now. Not too high, not too low, but ready to get going at the right time. You also will see a couple of these teams back here at home as well, also on the road in Bethune-Cookman and FAMU. But you'll see some of these teams that you also dropped the game and may have felt confident going into the next time you see them back here at home. So I think we're in a great place as a team. And I think it also speaks to the leadership for our guys to have their own players-led meeting here this weekend.
Yep. I think, you know, they know when we drop that game and we watch film, like, we can't coach this. Like, we have to figure out who we going to be every day. And, you know, the one thing we always challenge our guys is to be everyday people. Like, be the type of person that come in, that's thankful, that's grateful, that work hard. You know, do that, and the good things will happen for you.
Definitely will. And you all have Mississippi Valley State, doubleheader, 4 p.m. here at the Event Center. But then you turn back around and have UAPB on Monday, 7 p.m. here at the Event Center. Yep. Just your excitement there briefly.
Big win. Big games that's coming up. We need big wins. Got Valley here. Coach Ivory, man, is always going to be ready. You know, I always say he's always one of the toughest guys to prepare for because you go prepare for this and then now he pull this out. You like, look at this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at this guy. Like, you know, so you never know with Coach Ivory, man. Been doing this against him for a while now, man. Still, you know, one of the better coaches in the league. You know, he does a phenomenal job. Then, you know, we got UAPB, man. Good team. They do a great job, man. I mean, they really get after it. Do a good job moving the ball, shoot the ball from 3. 2 of the better players in the league with Williams and can't think of big fella name right now, Scott. Yeah, Jaquan Scott. So 2 of the better guys in the league. So, you know, they got us down there. So we got to get our get back here.
Got to get our get back here. And we encourage you all to please come out Monday night, that's 7 p.m. here at the Alabama A&M Event Center. And if you can't make it, well, of course, we have you covered on SWAC TV. Pre-game On the Hill Live Basketball Edition will be started 30 minutes before tip-off. You can find that on SWAC TV as well. But for now, we'd like to say thank you. A special thanks to our coaches as well. Coach Jones, appreciate you for joining the show as a special guest. You know, you're more than welcome to come back. And of course, our head coach, and Dante Jackson, appreciate you for joining us always.
Always great to be here. Thank you for having me.
No doubt. And of course, fellas, we'd like to say thank you all. And of course,
go Bulldogs.
Thank you for watching the Alabama A&M Basketball Review with head coaches Dante Jackson and Don Thornton. Your support is important to us and the outstanding students here on the Hill. We encourage you to support the entire athletic program and become a season ticket holder, or be a part of something much bigger and become a torchbearer. Visit AAMU.edu for more information. And until next time, go Bulldogs!